Weeknights at 6:30 on Channel 5.
This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. The government released its latest report on consumer prices today, and if you didn't count food costs, inflation would be rising at a lower rate than last year. But food does count, of course, and food prices in July jumped sharply. Analysts link the increase to the summer's fierce drought. But business correspondent Ray Brady says there's more to the story than that.
At the grocery store, they know all about today's inflation figures. From coast to coast, consumers are complaining about the skyrocketing cost of food. They're suffering from supermarket shock.
The cereals are up, the cheeses are up, and so are the meats.
I'm 88 years old. How can I afford to go on at the rate it's going?
Today's government figures show the cost of living rose 0.4% last month. That's moderate. But at the supermarket, food prices soared 1.4%, the biggest monthly increase in 4.5 years.
Maybe fruits are up because of the drought.
While the drought did do enormous damage to the farm belt, critics say many food companies jumped on the bandwagon early, even raising prices on some products that were not seriously affected by the drought.
What it looks like in some cases that manufacturers and suppliers and maybe retailers are passing on other costs to consumers in the name of drought damage.
At this point, it's a processor-driven increase 100% of the way.
Food companies have been raising prices. Just read them and weep. Some brands of bread up 5.5% in the last 2 weeks. Breakfast cereals up 5 to 10%, though many experts say the grains to make them are abundant. Cattle prices are down on the range, but not at many supermarkets.
At this moment, I would say that any meat increases, prices in the meat line are not justified at all.
I just stopped in here to pick up some hamburger, and I'm like shocked.
And the feeling is this is the time that you can get a price increase on.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, generally.
Economists say food prices will rise for another 2 months, going up by a total of 5%. What really worries them, though, is that Americans may now demand higher salaries to pay those higher food bills, and that may help set off another wave of inflation. Bob?
Thank you, Ray. In line with that, the Commerce Department today reported that factory orders for so-called big-ticket durable goods plunged 7% in July. That is the biggest drop in 4 years, and most of the decline reflected a huge slump in orders for cars, aircraft, ships, and tanks. George Bush is campaigning all by himself, but again today under the shadow of Dan Quayle. At an appearance in Oregon, his efforts to change the subject didn't get very far. Jacqueline Adams now with that story.
1 week after selecting Quayle, George Bush is still struggling to steal the spotlight from his running mate. Bush aides termed the latest questions about Quayle's involvement with lobbyist Paula Parkinson ridiculous, and the vice president refused to answer them.
I never deal in rumors, especially if they're ugly and hurtful.
In Portland, Oregon, however, pro-Dukakis anti-Quayle hecklers repeatedly interrupted the vice president's speech.
Don't worry about these guys. I feel sorry for them.
And Bush was forced once again to defend his running mate.
I have my confidence in Dan Quayle, and wait till you see this guy on job training and on national defense. You'll be as proud of him as I am.
Today, though, Bush aides played offense, insisting that Quayle has added interest to the Republican ticket. And the campaign claims that its internal polls show that after Bush's acceptance speech, he took off like a rocket.
I think people are just getting to know Dan Quayle. I think when they get to know him, they're going to like him. They're going to see him as someone who's been an effective member of Congress in Washington for 12 years, an expert on national defense and security issues. He'll do just fine out on the campaign trail.
But Republican strategists believe that, for now, Bush's efforts to court Reagan Democrats here in the Pacific Northwest is futile.
Clearly, at the moment, the Quayle flap gets in the way of most everything. It overshadows both Bush's positive showing and it overshadows Reagan's positive showing.
No, I'm not going to vote for him. I'm tired of being lied to.
Experts say Bush's biggest problem among blue-collar voters is that he's caught between two negatives: big labor's antagonism to the president whom Bush hopes to follow, and mounting uncertainty about the vice president he hopes to bring along. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Portland, Oregon.
In California, President Reagan defended Quayle today as a fine man and well qualified. Mr. Reagan went to the waterfront to sign a landmark trade legislation bill whose main architect is the other vice presidential candidate, Lloyd Bentsen. Bill Plant is covering the president.
President Reagan chose the Port of Long Beach to sign a much-debated trade bill, which will make it easier for the U.S. to retaliate against unfair trade practices. Ironically, the container ship, which towered above Mr. Reagan, was loaded with imports from the Far East. The president, blamed by Democrats for the nation's record trade deficit, was trying to take election year credit as a fighter for free trade.
This bill is just the latest step in that direction, in that effort, which began the first day that George Bush and I entered office and has already opened vast markets to American products all around the globe.
Mr. Reagan vetoed this same trade bill in May because he didn't like a provision requiring workers to be given advance notice of plant closings. He then reluctantly allowed that same politically sensitive provision to become law separately in order to help George Bush. What's more, the principal author of this trade bill, who happens to be the Democrats' vice presidential candidate, was not invited today.
We pushed that trade bill hard and had to for 2 to 3 years. And that this administration threw all kinds of roadblocks in the way, and the public's memory is not that short.
In a later appearance that was strictly political, Mr. Reagan renewed his attack on the Democratic ticket as closet liberals.
When challenged to say where they stand on the issues, their response is ideas don't matter, policies don't matter, ideology doesn't matter. For them, winning this election is all that matters, no matter what they have to say or not say to do it.
Winning the election is a pretty high priority for the president and the Republicans as well, which means that events like today's trade bill signing will be visibly political over the next few months. Tomorrow, Mr. Reagan makes his first joint campaign appearance with George Bush. Bill Plant, CBS News, with the president in Los Angeles.
This was supposed to be the day, of course, when Quayle was out of the limelight, a day he was supposed to spend in strategy and briefing sessions with his advisors. But as we've seen, it didn't happen that way. And Eric Engberg reports now.
At the center of a growing political storm over his character, vice presidential candidate Dan Quayle started his day taking out the trash, then took on the reporters gathered at his house with new questions about his past. Latest charge that he had made a sexual proposition to a woman lobbyist and been rebuffed during an out-of-town trip in 1980.
Now, this is just getting a little bit outrageous, and I'm getting a little bit indignant about just one bum rap after another.
Quayle said again that he had had nothing to do with lobbyist Paula Parkinson, who shared a Florida townhouse with Quayle and 2 other congressmen on a golfing trip. But according to notes made by Parkinson's lawyers, she told FBI agents investigating the trip in 1981 that Quayle, who was married, had made a pass.
In this case, you have a statement that he made a pass at her. She could have gone to the next step and said, and we had sex, but she didn't say that because that's not what happened. That's why I completely believe that he did ask her to go to bed with him.
In Chicago, Playboy magazine said its next issue will contain a quote from Parkinson that she and Quayle flirted a lot and danced extremely close and suggestively. He said he wanted to make love. Parkinson's date on the trip, ex-Congressman Tom Evans, denies she and Quayle were ever alone. The FBI found no laws were broken. Parkinson isn't talking publicly.
I think you all are going to have to be a little bit careful about this because it's totally untrue. I've got a wife and 3 small children, and I hope that there's some respect and dignity for things that I did not do before we go rushing off with all these so-called rumors.
Circumstances surrounding Quayle's National Guard enlistment became clearer today as retired Guard General Alfred Honor said he was asked by a fellow general who was an employee of the Quayle family to help a young bright man get into the Guard.
So I went to personnel. They asked if they had any vacancies. He says, yeah, they had some. Fine, hold one. And then he came over and introduced himself. So I sent him to the personnel, made out his paperwork. Then they brought him back. I swore him in.
There was no influence used. I didn't have to use any influence because before I applied there were openings, when I applied there was openings, and after I applied there were openings.
The Des Moines Register today became the first major newspaper to suggest Quayle be removed from the ticket.
Under the circumstances, the best way for Quayle to serve his party and country would be to withdraw as a candidate for vice president in order to allow the campaign to be over issues and not Dan Quayle's record.
Quayle's impromptu crisis news conference ended when his wife called to him to stop, but not before the candidate heaped defiance on all talk of quitting.
When I continue the campaign, the American people are getting a little bit sick and tired. They want to know who Dan Quayle is. They want to know what Dan Quayle stands for. They want to know what he's going to do for this country.
Quayle will begin his first solo campaign swing tomorrow, including one stop in front of a group likely to be on his side, a meeting in St. Louis of members of the National Guard. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Chicago.
Spokesman for the Bush campaign said tonight that Paula Parkinson is just all wet, that the allegations are totally untrue. A Quayle spokesman, Dave Prosperity, said this evening Senator Quayle has never had anything to do with Paula Parkinson at all before, during, or after that weekend. Democrat Michael Dukakis was more concerned today with hitting back at George Bush on another subject, a controversial classroom issue that's become a hot campaign issue. Our chief political correspondent, Bruce Morton, now with that.
Ever since the Republican convention, George Bush has been calling Michael Dukakis soft on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Should public school teachers be required to lead our children in the Pledge of Allegiance? My opponent says no, and I say yes.
The issue is over a bill which would have penalized Massachusetts teachers who didn't lead their pupils in the pledge. Dukakis vetoed that bill, citing U.S. Supreme Court precedents and advisory opinions from the Massachusetts Supreme Court and the Attorney General, which said the bill was unconstitutional because people could not be required to take oaths. Today, Dukakis had a question for Bush.
Now, if a serious candidate for the presidency seriously suggests that he would sign a bill even though the Supreme Court of the United States had told him it was unconstitutional, then how can he be qualified to be President of the United States? What does it mean to take the oath of office?
He vetoed it. He didn't think they should. I would have signed it because I think that symbolism of our country, one nation under God, is good.
Dukakis insists the issue is constitutionality. Are the Republicans accusing him of a patriotism gap?
The highest form of patriotism is a dedication and commitment to the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law.
In California today, President Reagan saw the competition in more sporting terms.
America is not going to trade away our winning team for third stringers with a weak defense.
Well, I think it'll be the American people who decide who belongs in the major leagues and who belongs in the Bush leagues.
The Bush leagues? Bruce Morton, CBS News, Beverly, Massachusetts.
And still ahead on the CBS Evening News tonight, David Browning reports on the boy wonder of American music, who's about to turn 70.
Here's Jerry with a new car.
What'd you pay for it?
About $5,900.
Are you kidding?
Does it run on batteries?
Does it have a motor? Does it have a motor?
Can I kick the tires?
Will the door come off the hinges?
Hey, guess what? It's a Subaru!
Oh, a Subaru!
Subaru!
Only one inexpensive car is built like a Subaru. The Subaru Justy.
Such a smart boy. Oh.
Get up to $1,500 cash back or 4.9 financing on a Subaru.
11 noisy 4-year-olds, an absent assistant, and Susan Macy is left with a headache that's going from bad to worse. That's why her next move is to Metaprin. Metaprin has the same medicine as Motrin, and nothing's proven faster for relief of headache pain or any kind of pain. It's also gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Metaprin works fast when you haven't got time for the pain.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new extra-strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new extra-strength Malox Plus.
Don't make a big fat mistake. Don't cook wholesome food in butter, margarine, or oil. Use Pam cooking spray instead. You can save 90% of the fat and calories. No mistake about it.
Police and soldiers took up positions around struck factories and mines in Poland today. The government and the workers both dug in for what looks like another long confrontation. Bert Quint now with our report.
Strikers held fast in the linen shipyard today. Some were angered by government threats of police action. Others were frightened but they responded to the threats with the familiar chant, "There can be no freedom without solidarity." The government accuses political agitators of starting these strikes, but it obviously realizes that its economic policies are to blame, and today it appeared ready to back down on them. Official spokesman Jerzy Orban announced a special session of Parliament next week to reconsider and perhaps make adjustments in price and wage levels. The strikers had some good news today and some bad. 2 more Gdansk shipyards joined the strike, but a few other strikes, including one at a coal mine, ended. Security forces are staying pretty much out of sight in Gdansk, but they blocked off the shipyard and port area, apparently trying to force strikers to give up by keeping food from getting in. Lech Wałęsa's spiritual advisor, Father Henryk Jankowski, said he appealed to the International Red Cross to send food to isolated plants. Inside the yard, Wałęsa said he still hopes the regime eventually will deal with the outlawed union. The government says never. But if the strikers can force Parliament to lower the prices that are driving Poles to desperation when it meets next week, that in itself will be a victory. Bert Quint, CBS News, Gdansk.
Palestine Liberation Organization said today it will take responsibility for paying Arab civil servants in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. This follows Jordan's move earlier this month to cut its ties with the West Bank and lay off 21,000 employees. The statement from PLO leader Yasser Arafat did not say how the salaries would be paid. Israeli leaders have vowed to block the PLO from any governing role in the occupied territories. Students and Buddhist monks led huge demonstrations for a second straight day in Burma. 500,000 people marched demanding an end to one-party rule. The government has announced some economic reforms, but the marchers say they'll accept nothing but democracy. The Navy has formally charged the captain of the USS Dubuque with failing to give proper aid to a boatload of Vietnamese refugees. Captain Alexander Balian faces a hearing this week before the commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. The refugees were adrift in the South China Sea last June when they asked the Dubuque for help. The captain gave them food and water, but refused to take them on board. Later, the survivors said that they resorted to cannibalism to stay alive before finally being rescued and taken to the Philippines.
After flying so many aircraft, I'm not easily impressed with car performance. Then I drove the Cutlass Supreme pace car at the Indy 500. I was impressed. In USAC tests, Cutlass Supreme out-cornered the BMW 325 and braked better than the Ford Thunderbird LX. And the Cutlass Supreme costs a whole lot less. So I got 3 of them. Hey, I got 2 kids, boys.
And now Oldsmobile will buy the air conditioning for you when you buy a 1988 Cutlass Supreme by September 28th.
Because Citicorp understands the drive to succeed, to do more than just get by, we've become the nation's largest financial services company, already helping 1 in every 5 American families, with more student loans, more home mortgages, more MasterCard and Visa cards than any other company. Citicorp and Citibank, we'd like you to get to know us better. Citicorp, because Americans want to succeed, not just survive.
When the burning, itching, and soreness of hemorrhoids flare up, Tux medicated pads give you soothing, cooling relief on contact. For hemorrhoid flare-up, get Tux, now with special savings.
This man is twice as strong as this man. Tums EX is twice as strong as Rolaids, so when you have heartburn, get the stronger acid neutralizer. Tums EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
Developments today in a controversy that centers on the nation's deepest lake, Crater Lake, Oregon, which is more than 1,900 feet at its greatest depth. This morning, scientists began their final dives in an effort to help settle the debate. David Dow reports.
It has been called the blue jewel of America's national park system, Oregon's Crater Lake. To visitors, a view of perfection itself. But out on the placid waters, scientists are seeing Crater Lake as it's never been seen before, through the plastic canopy of a small submarine.
Going from this blue, incredibly blue water of Crater Lake into that scene that no one else has ever seen, it's, you know, it's a fabulous experience.
It is a voyage into the deepest, clearest waters of North America, so clear that even at 1,200 feet, there's a faint blue glimmer of the summer sunlight. In the bottom darkness, giant cliffs and ridges, remnants of volcanic violence 7,000 years ago.
It's an awesome topography, being immersed in kind of the stillness of that environment. I don't think it really is comparable to anything we normally experience.
Officially, the dives are part of a long-term study of Crater Lake's complex ecology. But they may also settle or stir a controversy raging just beyond the park's boundaries.
In federal forest land about 5 miles from the lake, developers hope to tap underground pools of hot water to drive a proposed geothermal power plant. But park officials worry that the same pools might be connected to the lake by a vast subterranean plumbing system, that tapping them could damage the lake's natural balance.
When someone comes up with an idea so close to the park boundary, the Park Service has to take the role and ask, is that appropriate?
I can assure them, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that this project would not impact the ecology of the lake whatsoever.
While the debate simmers, scientists search the sediment for hot springs, clues that might connect the lake to the geothermal region around it. So far, some intriguing mineral deposits, nothing more.
On the bottom. Roger, depth on bottom, please.
Meanwhile, each day brings new exotic views of a familiar treasure, of the wonders of an ancient lake embroiled in a modern controversy. David Dow, CBS News, Crater Lake National Park.
Dazzling savings, now at Color Tile's fantastic home sale. Every in-stock ceramic floor tile is on sale. This stylish ceramic, just 59 cents. This elegant floral, only 89 cents. Save on a huge selection of vinyl tile, just 79 cents for this beautiful look. And every in-stock Armstrong Sundial Solarian sheet vinyl, now at great savings. Only at Color Tile's fantastic home sale, and only for 4 days. Come to Color Tile and bring the beauty home.
Honey, great news. I don't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. The doctor said they're not that serious.
Well, what did he say?
He told me to eat right, get some exercise, and when they act up, use Preparation H.
Thousands of doctors distribute this hemorrhoidal care guide. It advises a fiber-rich diet, exercise, and for flare-ups, try Preparation H for effective therapy against hemorrhoidal symptoms.
Aren't you glad you didn't need surgery?
Doctor recommended Preparation H.
There are headaches.
Jimmy broke your vase!
And headaches. There's aspirin and aspirin. Anacin. Clinical tests show Anacin relieves headaches better than regular aspirin.
Feel better, Mommy?
Not just better, better.
Anacin. Better relief.
Raisin Nut Bran tastes better. Tastes better than Kellogg's, better than Post. It's got juicy nut-covered raisins and big, crisp flakes.
People have a better time around Raisin Nut Bran.
The best tasting Raisin Bran.
Thursday is the 70th birthday of an American legend. He's been called a man who couldn't decide whether to be the next Beethoven or the next Toscanini or the next Cole Porter. What he is, as David Browning reports tonight, a cause for national celebration.
Tanglewood, the music lover's mecca in Massachusetts, where a great force of nature is sweeping through. His name is Leonard Bernstein. From Broadway to Berlin, London to Hollywood, he has stormed his way through the music world largely on his terms. He shows no signs of letting up. Can it really be that the boy wonder of American music is now 70 years old?
We're going to play for you now the last movie.
It seems like only yesterday he was first on the tube, charming the socks off America, teaching a whole generation about the passion and the wonder and the excitement of music. And now he is back teaching at Tanglewood, where he studied half a century ago, where this week the music world will throw him a birthday party to end them all.
Now that's the first boring thing you've done. Da 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 da. The other way around. I feel very young. I've been very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Do you still have fun with it?
Oh, yes. If I didn't, the day I don't have fun with it, I stop. That is a promise.
Keeping up with Bernstein at 70 is like trying to change the fan belt on your car with the motor running. There is Bernstein the superstar, whose wriggling and writhing would shame Tina Turner. There's Bernstein the inspiration, young conductors drawn to his wisdom, his spark, his fire.
Then you've got an ending.
Maria, I've just met a girl named Maria.
And there is Bernstein the composer, who has given America some of its most glorious music.
Maria, I've just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a song can be.
And throughout this week of birthday celebration, the 70-year-old boy wonder will be watched over carefully by his mom. She's 90 and about the only person who can tell Leonard Bernstein what to do.
Yeah,
and you're a little cranky today.
A little cranky.
Yeah.
I love life. I bet you don't remember that old song. I love life and I want to live. Well, it's that simple.
70. It is the age at which some legends to whom Bernstein is compared, Toscanini, Verdi, Stokowski, were just hitting their stride. Bernstein approaches it, heads up, and feet first. David Browning, CBS News, Tanglewood, Massachusetts.
That's the news. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good night.
It took 2,000 years, but a revolutionary discovery is changing the way men think about coloring their gray hair. It's called Just for Men, from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, shampoo out. Your gray is blended away, leaving your natural-looking color. 5 minutes. Here, look at me. Just for Men leaves your hair looking healthy and fuller, and it won't fade or wash out. Just for Men, in the men's hair care section.
The totally new Buick Regal. There's nothing like it on the American road.
Out on the horizon, the heart of a Buick, the start of a regal new day. The great American road belongs to Buick. It's your regal reward. It's the way it should be in this regal American land.
Save up to $1,350 on Buick's Regal Custom Coupe.
Shopping can make you feel terrific when you find fabulous color, fit, and style. But when you also find the Made in the USA label, you feel even better. It's a great feeling.
Made in the USA.
We love visiting America.
Hot dog, fried chicken, pizza.
But we're glad you have Kaopectate.
Kaopectate.
New maximum strength Kaopectate tablets. Nothing relieves diarrhea and cramps faster.
The diarrhea specialist.
This is CBS.
I'm John Lindgren filling in for Chris Clark.
And I'm Brenda Blackman. Up next on Eyewitness News,